Okay, we're up to today's daf is Tzadik Aleph. We're up to Tzadik Amid Beis, 7 lines from the bottom. Tana Rabbanan. Okay, Tana Rabbanan. It's a little deviation, but we're going to bring in Shimon HaTeimani. If you recall, Shimon HaTeimani is the one who said that one has to bring the weapon to Bezdin. That egrif, just like the fist comes to Bezdin, you have to bring it to Bezdin. Rabbi Kiva agreed to the extent that you have to evaluate the weapon, whether it can do the job or not, but with Saimich on Eidim to do that, it's unnecessary for Bezdin to do that. It's with Saimich on Eidim to do that, it's unnecessary to go ahead and involve Bezdin. Tana Rabbanan. Shor Tam Shehemis Behizik. It was a really bad boy. It did two things. It killed a man, and in fact, it damaged. So for killing a man, it's chayiv misa, and for damaging, it's chayiv to pay. However, we're only going to judge the capital punishment of the shar. The halacha is that a shar tam only collects migufo. You might remember, you collect only from the body. So once you're going to go ahead and collect from the body, meaning you take the neshama, the nefesh of the shar, there is no money to go ahead and collect from. The shar is considered dead. You only can collect from the body, and the body already is the shar haniskel. So memela, you judge only dinei nefashos, dinei maminis. Unfortunately, the person who was damaged monetarily is going to go ahead and lose money. Muid, what happens if the shar gored 3 times? It killed 3 people, right? It paid koifer and everything, and the hizik. Now you don't have to pay only from the body. Now you pay what we call min aliyah. So donin oisai dinei maminis. First judge dinei maminis. So in other words, it won't be a shar haniskel because you didn't go ahead and judge the capital case against the shar. And then you go ahead and judge dinei nefashos, thus assuring that since you judge the monetary chiyah first, you're going to go ahead and pay what? Pay money, and then only then will there be a chiyah of misa. However, kodmu v'danu dinei nefashos on the muad. This is the case we need, fellas. Right? On the muad, you went ahead, instead of judging dinei nefashos first, you judged dinei maminis. Instead of judging dinei maminis first, you judged dinei nefashos first. So kadmu v'danu dinei nefashos, and now you have a problem. What's your problem? The shor is a shor in iskal. And so ain't chaysim v'danu dinei maminis. You can't go ahead and now do dinei maminis. And the Gemara is going to ask why. Why not? You know, you're not limited to collecting from the body. The shor is not dead yet, so why don't you go ahead and judge dinei maminis? Why? Again, clearly, only the Brisa stated only on the muad if you do the mamin first and then the nefesh is the chiyuv of money. Mashma the other way around, nefesh first and then dinei maminis. There would not be a dinei maminis, right? Why not? Fred the Gemara. If by the muad you went ahead and proceeded and you did dinei nefashos, my hava lahadu l'daini dinei maminis. Go ahead and judge dinei maminis. What's the problem? Amarava ashkasinu l'rabbanan debei Rav. I found the rabbanan in the yeshiva of Rav. The Yosviv Karmi. They sat and they concluded, money. Who is the tana of this brisa? It's Reb Shimon HaTeimani, and that's why you brought it in. It's Reb Shimon HaTeimani, and again, just to reiterate, Reb Shimon HaTeimani is the opinion. You have to evaluate the weapon, and you have to. The Bezdin has to evaluate whether the hakah was royal lakach. Was this person strong enough? Was the weapon strong enough? So Shimon HaTeimani is the tan of this brisa. The Omar ma egref miyuchad, the fist is unique. Shemasa le'edo le'edim, to go ahead and ascertain whether it's capable of doing the damage that it damaged. Alma ba'inin umdina amir aleph. You see, you need an umdina bebezdin. Again, remember, Rabbi Akiva agreed with the concept of umdina. He just felt that edim are enough. But Rabbi Shimon HaTeimani said bezdin has to do it. Guys, remember the kasha yesterday? A person jumps off the building and the building falls down. You're going to go back and rebuild the building to evaluate if whether the building was high enough for the person to die. You're not going to do such a thing. That's what Rabbi Akiva retorted. But the bottom line is, Shimon HaTeimani required you to go ahead and have an umdina on the weapon by bezdin. But Kivin the Gemar Dina Lekatala, if you judge Dine Nefashos first, and there was a Gemar Din that this animal is going to die, Loi Mashina Lei Lumdina, we're not going to keep it around the Beidina. The Loi Ma'anya Ledina, we're not going to delay the Din, right? And Mat, because we say, just like a person, once there is a psak din, this is very interesting for a blog. Once there's a psak din for Misa, they do it right away. There's no such thing as death row. It doesn't exist in the realm of Jewish court. Death row doesn't exist. As soon it's a mitzvah to kill him. Once it's done, it's reason makdim mitzvahs. So what about a shot? Now, you know why? Because since this person knows he's going to die, it's inu nefesh. It's painful to keep him around. This is not Jewish. This is not Goyish courts, We did everything possible to save this person's life. Once that's before the Gemar Din. Once there's a Gemar Din, that's it. So now this guy's going to die. Good, you kill him. You don't wait around. And what do we know? Kemisas habailin, kach misas hashar. The shar is unaware. Certainly, no matter how bright the shar is, he's unaware of what he's about to go through. But kemisas habailin, kach misas hashar. Just as what the owner we wouldn't keep around, we don't keep the shar around. So that's the answer to the kasha. You have a question, why, if you judge Dinei Nefashis first, don't you judge Dinei Mamanis afterwards? Because it's Shimon HaTeimani. And Shimon HaTeimani says that what? That Bezdin has to be oimid. Bezdin's oimid that this is it's gonna die. You had a Gemar Din, it's gonna die. Gone, it's complete, it's finished. And Mela, you're not gonna judge Dinei Mamanis. Because what? We're not gonna have it around. Guys, like Shimon HaTeimani, to judge Dinei Mamanis, we need the shar around. The shar is dead, he's not around anymore. That's what it means. It goes like Shimon HaTeimani. Like him, in order to be Mechayim Midini Mamanis, I need to be Oimid the Shar, but I can't be Oimid the Shar. You know why? Because the Shar was Mechayiv Misa. Memela is nothing to talk about. That's according to the first teretz, the yeshiva of Rav, and says Rava, Va'amina lahu, and I Rava said to the Talmidim of Rav's yeshiva, Afilu Taim Rabbi Akiva. You could even say it's according to Rabbi Akiva. Now, again, just to reiterate, Rabbi Akiva also requires an umdina, but he says that the eidim are enough. You don't need Bezdin to go ahead and evaluate whether the egg knife, the weapon or the fist, whatever was used to kill the person or damage the person. We do not need Bezdin. We have eidim to do that, but you do need it. You need an umdina. It says so. Therefore, Rabbi Akiva could be the Tana. And Hachamaya Skina. What are we speaking about over here? Kigon Sheborach, the owner ran away, and therefore you cannot be Mechayivim Dinei Mamanis, because Ein Chavim Ella B'fanav. Sachan L'Adam Shaloi B'fanav, Ein Chavim Ella B'fanav. So you want to know, the case is speaking, why in the case, if you judge Dinei Nefashis first, why don't you judge Dinei Mamanis afterwards? Says Rava, I can establish, like Rabbi Akiva, that he ran away, and since he's not around, we can't judge the case of Dinei Mamanis. Fred the Gemara, Ibarach, if he ran away, right? If you didn't judge Dinei Nefashos, how could you go ahead, judge Dinei Mamanis below Bailim? Guys, what did the Gemara say initially? The Gemara said, if you judge Dinei Mamanis first, then judge Dinei Nefashos. That's what you're supposed to do. And then he'll pay. Good. Mashma, how could that be? If he ran away, how could you judge first Dinei Mamanis, Dinei Nefashos? He's not around for the Dinei Mamanis. You're saying like this, guys, watch. You're saying if you judge Dinei Nefashos first, right? Why can't you judge Dinei Mamanis? Because he ran away. And since he ran away, therefore why you can't judge Dinei Mamanis? Mashma, but this case, the Brisa said you could. But why? If you're saying he ran away, why could you judge the Dinei Mamanis? He's not here. Fred the Gemara, Ibarach, Kilay the new Dinei Nefashos, Heichidanile Dinei Mamanis play Bailim. Says the Gemara, you know what happened? The Kibul Sadeh Ubarach. The case was you makabel edis that it gored, and in other words, you began judging the Dinei Mamanis case. He was around, and he ran away before the Dinei Nefashos. Ubarach. Soif mehechim mishtalem. Right. Okay, so the question is, if he ran away, so why does it help that you can judge Dinei Mamanis first and then Dinei Nefashos? Your shayr is not here; you should not be able to judge Dinei Mamanis. So the Gemara answers, it's speaking where it's speaking where says we're going the kabel sadeh, you makabel edis that the animal gored, and then he ran away. But since you makabel edis right in front of him, therefore you can go ahead and judge dinei maminis, and after you can judge dinei nefashis. Right? Ain't going 1 second. Maybe I learned wrong shot here. Achak v'kimesh diskibal edis b'fanav yichalim ligmer es dinoi gam shaloi b'fanav ulacha shedonu dinei nefashis ain't going es dinoi shekimin shebarachim lanu memelo hechaligba says this guy. Okay, so what happened, guys? Like this, you went ahead, you judged dinei maminis. Good, you judged dinei maminis. Then you went ahead and you judged dinei nefashis. The guy's not here, right? He's not here at all. He's not here. Once you have a gemar din on the dinei nefashis, you don't have he doesn't have to be around anymore on that because he started. So where can you collect from? If you have a dinei nefashis psak, where do you collect from? So says the Gemara, I'll tell you where you collect from. Says Gemara Meiradia, you know what you do? You rent the shore out, let it plow, and let the rental money will go to the nizik. The rental money go to the nizik. Yihachi, if that's the case, tam nidanya dinei maminis bereisha v'nishtalim Meiradia. A tam also judge dinei maminis first. For dinei nefashos, then go ahead and rent it out. There's Gemara v'hodin nedanya dinei nefashos, and then you'll judge dinei nefashos. Rav Mari Breder of Kahanas Isemeres Raja Aliyah Demarahu. Raja, the ability to go ahead and rent it out, what is not part of the goof of the animal, it's part of the aliyah. So again, if you judge dinei nefashos and the guy's not around anymore, right? You go ahead, you rent it out, Raja. You rent it again before you have a gemar din, you rent it out, and therefore what? It'll take care of the problem of him not being here, and you'll be able to go ahead and give some money back by dinei maminis to give money back to the owner. Iboilahu. Yesh oimin l'nesikin or ein oimin l'nesikin. In other words, we know by katala, by misa, that's where Shimon HaTamani said his din by egroif, that your oimid was the weapon strong enough to kill, was the person strong enough to kill, right? Mi amina l'katalahu damdinon b'hachi nafka neshama b'hachi loy nafka neshama. But by katala, alvin l'zikin called the who the zikin anything you don't make an umdina, whatever it is, it is. Like Dilma Leishna, maybe by Nesikin, you also go ahead and your oimid. Tashma, Ma Bar Sheish Bakadei Lahamis, Asarat Fachim. We said earlier, going back in time, guys, very far back. As far back as Daf Gimel, I think. Way go. There's two baris. There's one that's a 9th Fachim, one that's 10th Fachim. The one that's 9th Fachim is Nezikin, 10th Fachim is Lamisa. Now, if you start counting, right, from as soon as the bar hits 1, you start counting up 1, 2. So if you could do damage at 1, obviously it's koldahu. You don't need an umdina, right? So says the Gemara. Kedei lahames asar tefachim. Now, I've called sheish bo kedei lahames asar tefachim. Hayipchusim asar tefachim if it's less than 10 tefachim. V'nafel l'sleichei shara chamor umeis potter. Husik ba chayiv. Ma'ilav nemata l'mayla kachashiv. You're considering what that's royal do damage from the time it's 1, 2, and you're counting up. V'achi kamar. Mitechavat asara misoleka nizaken ikka. Almal and Nezikin koldahu. Nezikin even what? 1. Says Gordo. Maybe what? You don't have an umdil in Nezikin. Like, you don't have to estimate. It's obvious. Like, you can't lamata. You can't think from 9 to 1. Kachashiv. V'achi kamar. Asara misa ikka. Pachas me asara purta Nezikin isya misa leka. Right. By asara misa there is, and 10 by 10 there is, and by less than 10 there is not. In less than 10, we will omeid. 1 second. Did it go ahead and get damaged by 9? Did it get damaged by 5? Did it get damaged by 3? Because depending on the gradation, you will go ahead and evaluate. So you have no raya that you're not omeid. If you go from bottom to top, starting at 1, there's no evaluation. Even 1 could do damage. Once you start from 9 and going down, you could say, well, 9 could do more than 5, 5 could do more than 1. So there's no raya. Tashma, let's try to bring a raya, the umdin nezikin. He ko aleinoi, he hits the Evan on his eye, and he blinds him. That's directly to the eye. Al aznoi, or to his ear, directly to his ear, and he goes ahead and deafens him. Ever yoytze ben lecheres, and never will go out lecheres. Keneged einai ve'eina roya. It's keneged. He hits him opposite his eye, but and he doesn't see. Keneged oznai, opposite his ear. Ve'eina shemeya. Ein ever yoytze ben lecheres. My timer lab mishum de beinin dina, and what? And we're oimed that a blow like that could not possibly cause him to go ahead and lose his eyesight. A blow like that could possibly not go ahead and cause him to lose his hearing. Shmamina yesh umdin al nizikin, that there is an evaluation by nizikin. So again, you're going ahead and you're saying there's a distinction between him directly in the eye or opposite the eye, in the ear or opposite the ear. So in other words, I guess it would be over here would be opposite. Obviously, directly in is in. So maybe your eye made that what? That blow couldn't cause the blindness. So therefore, I didn't blind you. If I didn't blind you, you don't go free. So in other words, you have a raya yet yesh umdin nezikin. You do have an umdin from nezikin. Like mishendaminan hu davis nafshe. We'll say the reason why he lost his eyesight, the reason why he lost his hearing, is the person himself caused it. The MS fellas, this can't cause him to go ahead and lose his eyesight. It's a grama. A person self-inflicted fright caused him to lose his eyesight. Self-inflicted fright caused him to lose his hearing, and that's why. But enochinami could be what? You don't need an umdina. And over here, the reason why he doesn't go free is because you didn't do it. You caused it. You didn't do it. Remember, guys, we spoke often about grama being shemayim. We said, in other words, if you cause a person's death, Besn Shalmata can't kill you. If you cause a person's death, Besn Shalmata can't kill you. So this is a case of causative. I caused him to lose his eyesight. But enochinami could be you don't need an umdana. That's it, because it was only causative. Kedetanya. Someone scares his friend. Ketzad. Let's say he takes a shofar and blows in somebody's ear. The chirshu, and he gets what? He gets deaf as a result. Potter. However, if he grabs him and blows in his ear, the chirshu chayiv. The act of grabbing right now is nishkain. It's not grama. It's not grama. It makes it more direct. Tashma. So we haven't pushed the shali yet. Whether by nezikin you have to evaluate whether the weapon was the weapon or the force was enough to cause the damage that it did. Hamish devarim oimdim ma'asai. The noisin lamiyad. There are 5 things. Nezek tsar ripush. So nezek tsar boishes you give immediately. It's not. And ripu v'shebes at sheyisrape. And ripu v'shebes, the doctor bills and the disability until they get cured. Amduhu v'hoya misnave. Let's say you evaluated that you're supposed to get better in a certain period of time, and you paid the doctor for that period of time, and you gave disability for that period of time. However, v'hoya misnavne, the patient began to go ahead and deteriorate. We only give him according to the initial evaluation. Whatever the initial evaluation was, you don't go ahead and add on to it. Let's say you evaluated to the other direction. You evaluated that he's going to be disabled for X amount of time, and the doctor bill will be X amount. And in fact, what it turned out to be, he got cured much quicker, right? You're going to give him the whole amount. So you say that what? There's an umdana for Nezikin. Says the Gemara, you're right. Gavra, Kama Liktsor, Miyamaka. Go ahead and evaluate the person, how much as a result of the hitting, Kama loy mekatzer, loy kama boile, vadai amdinon. That wasn't my shaila. Of course, you go ahead and you oimid. Ki kama boile, lemeimat cheftza. Regarding the person, the individual, whether he can, there's an umdana, you're going to be oimid, whether he can get better or not in X period of time. That was my shaila. My shaila was the cheftza, the object. Do you need an oimid on the evaluation on the actual object? It was brass knuckles. It was a stick. It was. Can that thing cause that damage? The amount of damage you would need some type of ointment on that. Do you or don't you? That's my question. What's the din? Tashma. Now Shimon Temani. The pasuk says. What's the pasuk say? The chiyuriv anashim, people are fighting. The hikoi ish esreyehu, a man hits his friend. Be'even, with a stone. Oy be'egroif, or with his fist. The lo yamus, but guys, the lo yamus, and what? He doesn't die. The nafal lemishkav, and he's bedridden. So this pasuk is describing what? A person who was damaged. This pasuk is describing a person who was damaged, correct? Now, this pasuk is the pasuk of Shimon HaTeimani. Be'egroif, you have to evaluate the weapon, the fist. Good? So what can you be poished from this pasuk, fellas? That yesh oimid by the chayfetz of the chefza by Nezikin. Says the Gemara, let's conclude. We come to a conclusion. Shimon HaTeimani Omer, ma egroif miyuchet shemasa le'edo le'edim. It's given over to the congregation and the edim to go ahead and ascertain af kol miyuchet shemasa le'edo le'edim, that you have to invest and evaluate the cheft. So shmamina, you have a good raya that what? That yesh leimat, yesh oimed l'nezikin shmamina, unequivocally you have a raya. Guys, you good? Again, not only do you have a raya according to who? Reb Shimon HaTeimani, guys, even Rabbi Akiva would agree to this. What's Rabbi Akiva arguing on? Whether it's Bezdin that has to do it or Eidim are enough. If the Eidim testify that this weapon can do the damage that it did, but they have to testify that. So this, when it says over here, Shimon HaTeimani, it's really more powerful than that. It's even Rabbi Akiva, the great Rabbi Akiva ben Yosef. He agrees with the Oimid. He just says that you don't have to be Matriach Bezdin to go ahead and make the evaluation. The Eidim themselves can do it. They're very, very geschmack. Gemara is very nice now. Amamar, going up, but it's always nice, but it's a little easier. Amamar, Dua v'hivri, if you're oimid X amount, and it gets better. Nice and la kol masha Dua. You go ahead and pay your what? Everything that the evaluation was. Messiah, in other words, you evaluated this guy is going to be disabled for 2 weeks. And miraculously, he made a comeback after 1 week, right? You get these football players that miraculously make these comebacks. Not my quarterback, but others miraculously have these miraculous comebacks, right? And well, actually, Patrick hasn't been hurt, so I should say that. Anyway, so if they get back quickly, you're going to keep the money. You're going to keep the initial evaluation. You said he's going to be out the whole day. And he gets cured in half a day. And he works for you. Avidasa. You pay him the whole day. You know why? That he got, you pay him the whole day. He's worked. He was only out half a day. Mina Shemayim, they were with this guy, and therefore that's Rabbi's din. So again, in other words, don't think you blew it when you said he's on the disabled list for a week and he comes back after 2 days, right? No, he's supposed to be on the disabled list for a week. However, Hashem was good and he cured him. But the Umder was right. The amount of time that he was supposed to be there and the money that he's supposed to go ahead and get, he gets. The Mishnah said, if you spit and it hits the person, you pay how much? Okay, let's see that. Let's go back to the Mishnah a little bit, guys. Let's go back to the Mishnah. That's Sadik Amid Aleph. Okay. We said if you smack him in the face, it's 200 zuz. If you smack him in the back of your hand, it's a 400 zuz. Good. But Oznoi, Tolish Besarai, let's say, Saram Ba'oznoi, you drill his hair or hit him in his ear or pull his hair out. Rokak, you spit ve'agia by roika and it hits him. Hevet, or if it hits his clothing, we'll see. Hevet talisa mimenu, if he goes ahead and pulls his tunic over his head. Para roisha isha b'shuk, he undoes a woman's hair in the street. Noisma arba meyazuz, you're going to get arba meyazuz. Zeh klal, this is the rule. Hakol lefi kvoidoi, everything goes according to the covenant. Okay, let's see what we got. Says the Gemara. Rokak ve'agia by haroik. Ve'hever amra papa leishanu elaboy. It's only that you're going to get this 400 zuz only if the spittle hits him himself in his personage. Avol bebigdoi. If the spittle goes ahead and reaches clothing, loy. For the Gemara ben haviki bayish bidvarim, right? It should not be less than going ahead and embarrassing him with words. If you spit and it lives on his clothing, I'm Marava Mishmei Rabbi Yosef ben Ovin. So I say Meres Baisha Bidvarim Patim Klum. That if you're Mavayish a person Bidvarim, you must be a part of everything. When you see that, in other words, we're making an analogy between spit on clothing and busha with words, where it's not hitting the person themselves. So just like spitting on clothing, your pater must be, because it's no worse than what? Than embarrassing with words. But embarrassing with words, you would be pater from a monetary chiyuv. However, guys, don't go home so quickly. This is Rav Shri Gaon. The Rosh quotes, this Rosh is quoting Rav Shri Gaon. Rav Shri Zal Kosav, the Af al Boishis Devarim Minadem Oisai. You may not have a monetary chiyuv, but we're going to put him in chayrim. Ad she'ifasenu hiroi lefi kvoidoi, until he appeases him monetarily, according to his covet. Umistabra the Yosef Boishis Bidvarim mi Boishis Shel Chavala. It's more the embarrassment of words than the embarrassment of chavala. You know, this is the opposite. Sticks and stones may break my bones, but words will never hurt me. It's the opposite, fellas. Sticks and stones might break your bones, and words will kill you. Words are the worst thing. It's the opposite. The Yosef Baishav Varmi Baishav Shal Chavala, Smafurish, Rashri Ragon. It's worse the busha associated with being embarrassed than what with chavala. The ain, listen to this. That's why I put it over here. The ain dava gadol kiloshin hara v'diba sha'adam moitzi al chaveroi. There's nothing worse than loshin hara that a person could speak about his friend. Very powerful, very powerful. So reading the Gemara, you think that, you know what? No, you're off the hook. You're not off the hook. If you want to be Yotzi Yechiev, Bidei Shemayim, and Bidei Adam, you're very, very much on the hook. You're very, very much on the hook. Very, very powerful. Sure, going on this Gemara, guys, on this pod. Very, very powerful. Okay, now, the Chachamim said the following. The Tanakhama, I had a problem, and we all had a problem. For this, you get 200. For this, you get 400. Hakolafik Foidai. That's a steer. I mean, hey, obey. You're telling me exact amounts, and then you're saying, well, it depends, right? It depends on the person's covet. Good? Now, there's two ways to learn. That is a minimum, and lefik kvoidai is a chumrah, or that's a maximum, and lefik kvoidai is a kula. In other words, the most you can get is 400. But I call lefik kvoidai, not everyone gets 400. That will be a kula. Conversely, everyone gets 400. I call it fikfaidai, and if he's a real chashem guy, he can even get 800, right? And then it would be a chumrah. Those are the two ways to look. Is the number given a min or a max? And depending on that, we will go ahead and say that what? I call it fikfaidai. If it's a minimal, then I call it fikfaidai is a chumrah. If it's a max, then I call it fikfaidai is a kula. Good. Says the Gemara. Iboy lahu. Tanakama lekula kamar, when he said I call it fikfaidai, oy lechumrah kamar. Lekula kamar deika ani delay boy lemishkal kuli high. The ani doesn't need 400 or 200 or whatever it is. By dilma lechumrah kamar, or maybe he means lechumrah. Deika ashir the boy lemesa letfei. An ashir you'd have to give more than 400. Good. That's the shaila. Toshma. Let's be poishit the Tanakama from what Rabbi Kiva said. Mitzvah Rabbi Kiva. Afilu aniyim shebi Yisrael. Roy Naisai Kilahain Bnei Chayrin. Will view every ani as if he's what a free man. Sheyada minachseyem, and he's down on his luck. Shem Bnei Avram Yitzchak v'Yaakov. Shmami no Tanakama lekula ka'amar. Shmami no, the Tanakama was being what? Was being makel. In other words, 400's the max, guys. But the hakol kfikfaydai, then it would go down. How do we know that that's the pshat? How do you know that's pshat? Because what Rabbi Kiva say? No, everyone's roy for 400. From the fact that Rabbi Kiva said everyone can be viewed as a Bnei Avram Yitzchak Yaakov, it means that what? Everyone can get to 400. So obviously Rabbi Akiva is retorting to what the Tanakhama said. So from Rabbi Akiva we can infer what the Tanakhama meant. He meant to be makel by saying a kol of kfoidai. 400's the max. but the less you are, the less you get. Says Rabbi Akiva, no, even the less guys should be viewed as what as Bnei Avram Yitzchak v'Yaakov. So Tanakama, when he gives a number in the Mishnah, the Mishnah is a max number, not a minimal number. Very geschmack, how we can ascertain what the Tanakama said from Rabbi Akiva. Okay, what was the Maisa? There was a Maisa, right? This man went ahead and he undressed the woman's hair and he pulled off a hair piece that was covered. She pulled off whatever covering she had. Rabbi Akiva was mechayev to give 400. He went ahead and he set up a sting operation, right? He set up a sting operation. He went ahead, got Adim, probably outside in a van, with some binoculars, with headset, little device. I'm watching too much television. Anyway, so they're outside, and he goes ahead. He takes a barrel with very, very, very little oil in it, breaks the barrel. What does the woman do? She takes off her hair, takes the palm, gets whatever little oil there is, and begins smearing her hair. Little brill cream, right? Get something on there. Good. Came to Rabbi Akiva. What did he tell Rabbi Akiva? For this woman to give $400, what are you talking about? What did Rabbi Akiva say? If you hit yourself, you pata. If someone else hits you, you chayiv. If you cut down your own tree, you pata. If someone else cuts down the tree, you chayiv. So in other words, it's not. But you're telling me it's garnished garnished. So it's mashma from our Mishnah. A person has a right to go ahead and hit himself. Okay, that's what it says. It's mashma from our Mishnah that what what did he say in the Mishnah? Let me make sure I told you the right pshat. You don't have permission. You don't have permission to hit yourself. But if you do, you pata. Guys, our Mishnah says you don't have rishus to hit yourself, right? But if you do, you don't have to pay because you're going to pay yourself. Nonetheless, another person be chayiv. Good? So now, says the Gemara. Umi abinan zman. Rabbi Akiva gave this person zman, right? He gave him time to go ahead and get it together because he wanted to put together his sting operation. V'ama Rabbi Chanina, ein noistim zman lechavalais. You don't, for torts, for the lachas of damages, you don't give zman. Says the Gemara, kilo yavinu leizman lechavala. When it's a damage, the chasrei memoina, pirish. If you damage the person physically and it causes them a monetary loss, then we make him pay right away. After all, the guy's out of work, However, over here, what did this person do? He uncovered the woman's hair. There's no monetary loss over there. It's simple busha, right? So therefore, aval leboishes lechasrim emayna with boishes where there's no loss of income, because the person is totally healthy, then yavina and you will give time, and therefore Rabbi Akiva gave this person time. Shamra, he waited for her. I made this al Pesach Chatzera, and he went through his whole. Okay, now again, what did the guy tell Rabbi Akiva? Rabbi Akiva, he said, "Look, you're going to give money for this person." Rabbi Akiva said to him, "What are you talking about?" Rabbi Akiva said, "You don't have permission to hit yourself, but if you do, you pater, and another person hits yourself, you chayev." So Vatanya, Amaloi Rabbi Akiva. Now you're telling me you're able to go ahead and hit somebody? You don't have permission to hit somebody? Rabbi Akiva said the following. He told this guy, Salalta b'mayim adirim, you dove into mighty waters, v'helesa cheres biyadach, and you came up with what? With cheres. Okay, this is this is not important, but I just saw a very nice Teres Chaim. Teres Chaim says that you find in oysters, you find pearls, right? You find the pearls that grow in oysters, correct? So this person was diving for the oysters. So he was diving for the pshat. He was diving for, look what I did. This woman, she's not chayiv anything. But you know what happened when we got the oyster? Instead of taking the whole oyster, he just got the top of the oyster. He got the piece of cheres, like he got nothing because he needed the middle of the oyster. So you went through this sting operation to go ahead and get an oyster, meaning to get this woman, get off the hook. Guess what? You came up with nothing. Good? Now what's the kasha? The next words. A person has permission to hit himself. Our bright Mishnah says openly, a person does not have permission to hit himself. And here we say a person does have. In other words, you have lo yaleinu, bisman hazeh. Unfortunately, It's common for teenagers to cut themselves. Unfortunately, it's a phenomena that teenagers are suffering. They cut themselves. So forget the mental part. What about the monetary part? Are they allowed to do it? In other words, halachically, are they allowed to do it? Forget they're crying out for help, but are they allowed to do it? That's the question. Are they allowed to do it? So it seems to be machlokes. Loida Mishnah, no. Loida Brisa, yes. And it's going to end up a machlokes, two Tanaim, according to Rabbi Akiva, whether you could or you can't. A lot of fascinating blog stuff today, right? It's really a fascinating thing. I had cases. But we have a stira. The Mishnah says that if you're chayvel, you're not allowed to hit yourself. And we have over here a brisa that says you could hit yourself. And it's Rabbi Akiva saying both things. Amarav kasha. Now this is not going to this is not going to stand up, guys. Kan bechavala, kan beboishes. Kan bechavala, kan beboishes. Be'emes, when it comes to going ahead and hit yourself, you're not allowed to. Physically, you can't. To embarrass yourself, you could. So when it says in the Mishnah that you can't hit yourself, that's speaking about chavala. And the brisa, when Rabbi Akiva said that you're diving for pearls and coming up with shells, is speaking mat, and therefore, and you could go ahead and you could go ahead and chavala. It's speaking about psychological chavala. It's speaking about embarrassment. It's not speaking about physical chavala. Problem is, guys, Akiva was giving a whole mushal to this guy with the hair, is only speaking about what? Boishes. There was no physical chavala. The woman uncovered it. The woman took her hair off. He embarrassed her with the hair. The whole nidun was boishes. And you're telling me there you have rishus? So this teretz is a shver teretz, guys, right? It's a shver teretz. Because the whole Mishnah was speaking about boishes. And you're telling me when the Mishnah says you can't do it, it's speaking about chavala. Our Mishnah was speaking about boishes. And here in the Brisa, you tell me boishes you could do. Says the so Rabbi's has to answer this up. So you don't need to tell me even boishes, which a person is not chayiv, but if another person does it, you're chayiv. The ain't adam mishoy lachbal ba'atzmai. If even chavala that a person does not have rishus, acherim shechavu b'chayavim. Okay, so now we answered up the brises. Our Mishnah says no. Brisa says yes. Mishnah is speaking about damages. Brisa is speaking about boishes. For the Gemara, our Mishnah is speaking about boishes. Says the Gemara, no, let me boy. Not only boishes, which you wouldn't be responsible for, even chavala, which you would be responsible for. If you hit yourself, you would be. I mean, you don't have permission. Responsible. You don't have permission. Nonetheless, your taina would not be a good taina. So, therefore, he's reconciled the two things. That it's busha with busha is you have rishoy, chavala you don't have rishoy. We're going to slug this up. Fred the Gemara kasha. The person cannot go ahead and physically harm themselves. But Tanya, now there's a parsha in the Torah, fellas, Vayikra. It's one of the averis that you bring a carbon oil of for, depending on your financial status. You're going to bring if you're rich, you're going to bring a sheep. If you're poor, you're going to bring birds. Right? One of them is called the shuas bitoy. We know we said going in the mikdash when you're tamei, and shuas bitoy, meaning you make a shua lahara lahetiv. You make a shua to do bad, to do good, and you don't keep the shua. Now the Gemara says on that. But Tanya, yochel nishba lahara ba'atzmai, a person would swear to harm himself, v'lehara, and he doesn't harm himself. I would think you pata from a carbon. I might think you pata. Hamad loymar lahara lahetiv, mahatava rishus. Just like to do good to someone is not a mitzvah necessarily, but it's in your jurisdiction to do it. Afhara rishus. So too, to go ahead and harm yourself is rishus. Avi nishba lahara ba'atzmai v'lehara. I might think, therefore, a person goes ahead and he swears to harm himself and he doesn't. Mashmuel, okay, so you have a kasha that what? That you see that a person is not, it's a rishus, right? That a person has rishus to harm himself. Because it says, guys, means the following. I can swear to harm myself. And if I don't, I'm going to bring a carbon because I didn't keep my shvua. That's what we just said. Lahora means, again, the half meaning Gemara is physically. I can physically make a shvua to harm myself. And if I don't, I'm going to have to make a shvua because a carbon it'll be arid because I didn't keep my shvua. Why do you see that a person has rishus to harm themselves? On that, the Gemara answers, the harm here is not physical abuse. Meaning, what's my harm? I don't eat. So it's not physical. It's not physical pain. I mean, eating is physical. I mean, you're talking about damaging. You're not damaging yourself. So that's what it means. Lahara. Lahara means to go ahead and not eat. Now, it says you can do it for yourself and you do it to others. The kavase gabe haros acherim is leishivan betainis. You can make other people fast. Acherim moisevlu betainisa. In other words, you want symmetry over here. You're telling me lahara lahativ for yourself and for others. So if you're telling me yourself means to sit betainis, it must mean that what? I force others to sit betainis. How can you do that? That's what we're in. No problem. The mahadek will be during the lock in a room. They won't have what to eat. Okay, now. So right now we've held serve. A person can't harm themselves. Because and that it says lahara by you're going to bring a carbon shvua is speaking where you harm yourself by you said you're going to fast and you ate. You didn't keep your shvua, right? You said you're going to fast, and you ate. That's you're having your shvua. But right now we've held serve that a person cannot go ahead until now. Again, any stira we answered up. Boishes, you have rishus to do if you want, but chavala, a person does not have rishus. Now we're going to slug that up because we're going to show that by shvua it mamish means physically harm yourself. We're going to see that. How do we see that? For Tanya, ezel ras acherim. Again, guys, remember we're in the ballpark. Acherim and himself have to be synonymous. Ezel ras acherim, ake ploini. I will hit ploini. Ve'eftzes moichai, I'll bash his brains in. So what do you see? What's hara? Physically harming somebody, correct? So if acherim means physically harming someone, then me'atzmai also must be physically harming yourself. So if that's the case, then what have I proven? A person does not have a person has rishus to go ahead and harm themselves. So now we don't have a good teretz. What was your teretz? We have a brisa, the Mishnah saying you don't have rishus. We have a brisa saying you do have rishus, both in the name of Rabbi Akiva. The brisa we're saying is speaking about boishes, and now we've proven from shvua that harm yourself, you can have permission to harm yourself, and you will bring a carbon shvua if you don't. Good. So how do we reconcile the two? And your teretz doesn't hold water now. Your teretz doesn't hold water. Says the Gemara Ela Tanoihe. It's a machloikis tanoyim. What does that mean? Usually it's two separate tanoyim. If you look at guys, again, we're going back to the original question. Look at me. What's the original question? Our Mishnah says you don't have rishus to harm yourself. Brisa says you do. So we're saying it's machloikis tanoyim, but they're both Rabbi Akiva. So it's two tanoyim according to Rabbi Akiva. Often we say it's two man omrim saying their opinion that they heard from Rabbi Akiva. They got mixed signals somewhere along the way. Okay, so look at Taisus. Ela tanoihi, Kloimar, Rabbi Akiva de Masnisan, Rabbi Akiva de Brisa, Pligi. They argue. In other words, we're getting two opinions in Rabbi Akiva. Ushinuya de la'el lesnahu. And the teretz we gave before of one is by Busha and one's by Chavala is not there at all. Guys, right? In other words, that teretz we gave is we're throwing it out the window. We're throwing out that teretz. V'hashta nicha, the mishum dama trei tanoi, v'aliv Rabbi Akiva, kaboy man tan de masnisan the amar, aliv Rabbi Akiva, ein ad mishoy lachbal ba'atzmai. And now, who's the tan of the Mishnah? Meaning, we know Rabbi Akiva has conflicting statements. We want to know who is it? Okay, back in the Gemara. Ella, what do you have to say? Since you have this problem, so Ella is tanoihi. Dikulaman the amar ein ad mishoy lachbal ba'atzmai. That's what Rabbi Akiva of our Mishnah. And that's Rebbe, and that is what? Rebbe Akiva in the Brisa. And now the Gemara is going to ask, who is this Rabbi Akiva of our Mishnah? Since we have two Rabbi Akivas, who's the Tana? Who's the Tana who says in our Mishnah a person doesn't have Rishus? And that's what's going to take us to the end of the daf. So we set up, right? Baruch Hashem. Says the Gemara. Man Tana, the Shomet Le Dama Ein Adam B'Shoy Lachol Atzmai. Who's the Tana who says that a person cannot go ahead and hit himself, right? That a person can't go ahead hit himself. Meaning, who is the Tana of our Mishnah, fellas? Who's the Tana of our Mishnah? Ilema, if you're going to tell me, Hi Tana, who the following Tana, the Tanya. Now it says by Noach. When Noach gets off the Teva, Noach is given permission to kill the animals, and Hashem then warns Noach about murder, and he says the following: V'ach ledi v'ach es dimchem lenafshoy seichem edrosh. Your blood for your nefesh edrosh. What does that mean? Rabbi Eliezer Omer miyad nafshoy seichem, from you yourself for your nefesh edrosh es dimchem. I will go ahead and seek your blood. Meaning, if you kill yourself, Kadosh Baruch Hu is going to hold you accountable. This is the Isra of suicide. This is the Isra of being, in Hebrew, it's Ma'abed es Atzmai. This is the Isra of being Ma'abed es Atzmai. Good? So it says over here, Miyad nafshasechem edrosh es dimchem. From the hands of your nefesh, I will seek your blood. That's what it says. So, obviously, what does this Tana hold? A person can't harm themselves. It says, what right do you have? The Dilma Katola shiny, maybe taking out your nefesh is different, but maybe harming yourself is not. So there's no raya from suicide. Elahai Tanahu. It's the following Tana. The Tanya, Mikarin ala Mace. Now we know that a person, the goyim, they did crazy things. Like used to do, right? They would go ahead and they gash themselves, and they would pull their hair out, and that's called darkei amori, what they would do when they hear a mace. However, you might think that if we rip anything, it's midarkei amori. So if you rip your clothing, you might think it's synonymous with cutting yourself or ripping your hair out. So mekaron al mace v'lo midarkei amori. You can rip on a mace, but it's not considered from the ways of the heathens. Amar Rebbe Lazar shamati shamakarei al mace yosim midai. If you do too much, you'll go ahead and you'll get malchus mishum bal tashkas, because you're destroying your beged. The kolshkein gufay, and certainly what if you go ahead and you do your body. So in other words, we want to prove that a person doesn't have a right to go ahead and harm themselves physically. We can prove from Avelis. Rebbe Lazar says what? In Avelis itself, we have permission to rip your clothing, don't do it too much. And kol shekain, if you can do too much clothing, kol shekain if you do yourself. So we have a raya from this case by Avelis, that l'chayra Rebbe Lazar is the Tana who holds, in the name of Rabbi Akiva, a person does not have a right to go ahead and harm themselves. Says shiny. Maybe, guys, you could harm yourself. And maybe Maybe a beged is worse. Maybe a beged is worse than harming yourself. What's the svara? Because once you go ahead and you rip them, let's say you're not ripping them on the hem. Once you rip them, they're gone. Rabbi Yochanan would call his clothing mechabdusa. He would call it what his things that are mechabed him. His clothing are mechabed him. Rav Chisda can have a maski beini hizmi v'higa. Rav Chisda, when he would walk among the thorns and the thistles, madri le'lamane, he would lift up his tunic. He'd lift up his shirt that it shouldn't rip. He said, "Zeh ma'ila arucha, b'zeh ena arucha." Obviously, by picking up his shirt, his legs are going to get cut. He says the legs getting cut are going to get better, but the clothing, when it gets ripped, is not going to get any better. So you have no raya. Ken Zayin that ripping clothing is worse. Maybe you could go ahead. Just because you can't rip your clothing, maybe you could be machbeles atzmai. Maybe you could harm yourself. So I don't have a raya from this that Rebbe Lazar is the Tana of our Mishnah who says in the name of Rabbi Akiva that a person could go ahead and be machbeles atzmai. Elahai Tanahu, the Tanya. Rebbe Lazar hakaper b'ribi. This is going to be the guy. Guys, remember Nazir? Remember that nice Masechta? Remember a Nazir is called the Chayta? He's called a sinner, right? He's called a sinner. Why? Because the Torah asks enough things on himself and he's asking wine on himself. Good? Says the Gemara. So Amar Rav Elazar Kappa Bribi. Matam Eloima v'chipar love me'asher chata ala nefesh. Why is he called a Chayta? V'chibi ezen nefesh chata. What? Who's Chayta? Is that Ella shitzir atzma min hayayin. This person who is mitzayir herself from not drinking wine. V'ala dvar kal v'chayma umazeh shleitzir atzma ela min hayayin. Nikra chayte. This person who is only mitzayir himself from wine is called a chayte. Mitzayir atzma b'kol davar. If he goes ahead and pains himself, right, and pains himself, alachas kama v'kama. So obviously, if you call the chayte for just not drinking wine, certainly you'd be called a chayte by what? By damaging yourself. This is the Tana who holds in Rabbi Akiva in our Mishnah that ein adam mishoylach b'letzatzmai. The person doesn't have a shus to hit himself. Hakoytz in the tiyos, if a person cuts down his trees, right? We said that what he's pata. We said he's chayiv malchus for paltashkis, but he's pata from paying. But yet another person does it, the person be chayiv to pay. Hani Rabbi Barachano kamei the Rav shoyri harakta. You killed my shor. Natiyosi katzata. You cut down my tree. So the person retorts, Ata Amarli lahargai, you told me to kill the shor. Ata Amartali lakaitza, so you told me to cut down the tree. So pata, he'd be pata from paying. So Amalei. So Rab said, Im Kain, like Shavkas Chayla Briyasa. If a person can have this winning taina and say, you told me to do it, right? So you're not living life. Anyone who has any possession, he can go ahead and say, you told me to do it. What happened to my candelabra? You told me to steal it. In other words, anything you're going to say. So, Kol Kamina, does the person have such power? So Amalei, so Rabbi Rachana told Rav about this brisa. Is Tamaya, should I go ahead and erase it? In other words, is this brisa, there's no way to explain it that we should keep it around? Maybe I should just erase it? So Amalei, Rav told Rabbi Rachana, no. Go ahead and translate the brisa. Is Bishar ha'oimed la'ariga. We're speaking about a shor that's going to be killed. Let's say it's a shor niskol, or if for whatever reason it's a wild, very wild shor. It's sakin. You got to get rid of it. Will be ilan oimed l'ktzitza. Let's say it's lying down to Rishus Harabim. You have to get rid of it. So that's what. In that case, with this shor, everyone knows the shor is there to be killed, and everyone knows that this tree is there to be kaitzitz. There, in that case, the person's believed to say, "You told me to do it." It's a little bit of more information than a healthy shor and a healthy tree. So what's the guy? In other words, if that's the situation, what's his claim? Why is he saying you cut down my tree, you kill my shor? If they're going to die, if the shor is supposed to be killed and the tree is supposed to be cut down, I wanted to do the mitzvah. In other words, you stole my mitzvah by you cutting down the tree. This shor is a mazik. This tree is a mazik. I want to go ahead and remove this obstacle. What did you do? You stole my mitzvah. The Tanya, the shafach v'kisa. Right, and it says he spills out and he covers. Misha shafach yichasa. The one who spills the blood should be mekayim the mitzvah of kisei adam. I think this is speaking about kisei adam. Yeah, it's kisei adam, guys. So there's a mitzvah to go ahead, Rod, and cover the blood. Who's the mitzvah? Your mitzvah. You shechted it, you should cover it. So what happens? You went ahead, the one who spills the blood covers it. He shechted it, and his friend came along and covered the blood. And he was required to give him asara sehuvim. Now, it's very interesting, guys. Sehuvim is not a denomination we use zuzim, dinarim. It's not a biblical domination that we usually use, sehuvim. So it's a very nice pshat I saw. Let me share it with you. Do you see V'chai Reb Gamliel? You see V'chai Reb Gamliel, that's the first words? Yes?
Yes.
Okay, is it hard to see it? Should I make it a little larger?
No, it's okay for me. It's good.
Okay, I think, okay. Let me, I don't know if I can make it larger. Let me see if I can make it larger.
It was pretty good the way you had it.
It was good?
Yeah, it's fine.
Okay, so let me come back then. Okay, share. Okay. The Chayyim, this is from the Sefer Torah Chaim. This is Torah's Chaim was written by Rav Avram Chaim Shor, early Achron, contemporary of the Maharsha. I bring him in very often. He wrote the following: Matsasi kosav bar zerua remez ledava shehabracha shava asara suhuvim. The bracha that you make is worth 10 suhuvim. Midechsiv gabi Eliezer eved Avraham vayikach ish nezem zahav. He took a bracelet of a nezem of gold. Beka mishkaloi. It weighed a beka. Ushneit smidim al yodeha, and 2 bracelets on our hands. Asahar zahav mishkalam, and they were weighed 7. Each one weighed asar zahav. Lama parad akosav mishkalam. Why is the Torah telling us their weight? Elafi sheroy Eliezer shehi garmaloi, that he caused her levarech Hashem k'mo shamar baruch Elokei Adoni Abraham. He caused that what a bracha should come out. He caused the bracha should come out. Lefikach, therefore, nasin la schara shnei tzmidim asara zahav mishkala. He went ahead and gave him 2 tzmidim is asara zahav. Because shekach kibul me Avram, he was makabel. Eliezer was makabel from Avram. Sheschar bracha is asara zahuvim ad kan, and that's the reason. So therefore, in Agimara, that's why he gives asara zahuvim therefore you stole this bracha, right? You made a bracha on the Kisi Adam and you chapped it. So therefore, he went ahead and gave us asara suhuvim, which seems to be a weight rather than a denomination of a coin. So not asara dinarim, not asara suhuvim, not asara zuzim, but what? Asara suhuvim, because that's the weight. And he had a Kabbalah, a bracha is worth asara suhuvim, and this guy chapped the bracha. Okay, everyone should have a great night. Thank you for listening. Let's